everyone. This is Maheen, and welcome to the Black Business Podcast powered by Canadian SME. This is a national platform that is dedicated to celebrating excellence, empowering legacy, and elevating Black entrepreneurship across Canada. Today, we are exploring the architecture of high performing cultures. In 2026, leadership capacity is no longer about individual skill, it's really about building teams that truly reflect the diversity of the communities they serve to drive better strategic decisions. Joining us today is Jason Murray, the president and managing partner at BES Executive Search. With over 20 years of experience and more than 1,000 successful executive searches, Jason is an award-winning leader in EDIA and workplace transformation. A former supervisor at Deloitte and current board chair of Business in the Streets, or BITS, Jason has facilitated workshops for over 150 organizations and is a leading voice in BlackNorth Initiative. So without further ado, let's dive in and welcome Jason. Jason, it's a pleasure having you on the podcast today. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. Doing well. The sun is shining.
Very pleased to have you with us this afternoon, Jason. Now, Jason, you worked on over 1,000 executive searches. I've highlighted that very impressive bio, by the way. The market has changed drastically from your days at Deloitte to founding BES in 2020. Let's really begin by understanding the evolution of executive search. Tell us, since starting BES Executive Search, how has the job market evolved and how should recruitment strategies adapt?
Yeah, it's evolved because there's been a lot of headwinds. It's been a very active labor market. We know that in 2020, the headwinds included the pandemic, where there were record job losses as employers tried to pivot and make some very quick decisions in order to keep their organizations running. We also saw some headwinds as well with respect to AI more recently. And these ones are still emerging and still evolving. But we've already seen over the 2026 calendar year some very big household name organizations making some changes to their headcount, which is impacting a number of people. And so, with respect to recruitment strategies, they do have to evolve and they have to evolve quickly. And some of the evolution in terms of what has to happen is organizations really need to know exactly what are they looking for when they are trying to attract people to their workforce. Some of what they're looking for is adaptability because it's such an active market and because we know that the world iteratively changes with respect to technology. The ability to deal with ambiguity and the ability to adapt is a big, big piece to what people have to assess when they're looking at candidates for their roles.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, adapting recruitment to meet shifting workplace expectations is quite the only way to attract the type of innovative talent that drives long-term growth. Now, Jason, let's explore building organizations that reflect real community diversity. Tell us, why is diverse leadership so critical for business success?
Yeah, there are a number of ways to answer this. I would say the biggest thing, Maheen, is innovation. I often say innovation is really born from lived experiences. So if you take something like technology and a phone, we've seen how the phone has evolved over many, many years. And one of the things that people love about phones in present day is the ability to interact with it through voice. Well, when you think about the accessibility community, of course, there were a time where individuals who may be visually impaired would not be able to interact with the phone the same way without actually having something like the voice activation to be able to interact with it. So when we have lived experience coming around the table and this is actively expressed, what that means is that everyone ends up benefiting because the individuals that have lived experiences to bring to the conversation, yes, there's something directly going to be impacting them, but it also impacts many other people as well. The other piece I would say, which is so important when it comes to representation in workplaces, is increasing employee engagement and strengthening culture. Human beings obviously have something quite primitive about what makes us who we are in terms of trying to find safety optically. And so if you have, for example, someone like myself who's part of the LGBTQ plus community, I'm going to go into spaces wanting to really know that I belong by either knowing that there are people who have shared lived experiences in that setting, similar to myself, or allyship. And so if we don't see representation around leadership tables, then it's really going to have people think twice about whether or not they would want to engage with that organization as someone who might put themselves up for a position, or even as a client or customer. And we know that organizations need the broader society to interact with their organizations in order to see that they continue to grow and continue to thrive.
Absolutely. And this was such a well laid out response, Jason. And it tells us that ensuring representation at the top leads to more robust decision making and a much deeper connection with a global customer base. Next, let's look at how the Black North Initiative shaped your firm's mission. Jason, you've cited Black North Initiative, a program that aims to increase the number of Black leaders in executive and board roles, as an inspiration for you. Can you please tell us more about the about BlackNorth's influence on BES and how both institutions have supported equitable leadership development?
Oh, absolutely. In 2020, it was a really, really tough year. That was the year that George Floyd was murdered.
Yeah.
And that is something that impacted many people in the Black community and many people, of course, who are thinking about the fact that that was an injustice. And for myself, I was finding myself involved in all sorts of conversations in terms of what can really be done about this. And I have to really praise Wes Hall for work that he has done in this space. So he is the individual who founded the Black North Initiative. And I was really, really privileged to have been asked by him directly to be involved in the search that led to its inaugural CEO, Dahabo Ahmed Omer. And Wes was someone that was instrumental in supporting my own organization, really wanting to bellow the message to the broader community that here is an answer to some of what you are trying to do when it comes to increasing representation and trying to see more Black individuals in positions of leadership so that there can be more systemic change. And that's one of the things that really, really, really impresses me about the work of Black North Initiative. It's not just an organization to talk about the importance of making sure that systemic changes and structural changes that really impact Black communities and society is something that we should be thinking about. There is a real how in terms of operationalizing it, giving organization the tools, giving them the systems, and really driving the change forward. So they've done some transformational work, and anything that I'm involved with, I'm always thinking about transformation myself. So really inspired by what Wes has put forward into the marketplace, what Black North Initiative has been able to do, and just playing a role as BES Executive Search has in terms of helping with some of the recruitment there.
Mm-hmm. No, that really shows how intentional efforts can drive meaningful leadership change and impact. And to all the founders and business leaders that are watching, in 2026, diversity is not just a nice to have or a checkbox. It is really your competitive engine. And so if your boardrooms does not look like the community that you serve, then you're really missing out on the critical insights that are needed to survive a rapidly changing market. Next up, Jason, let's explore key leadership trends that are shaping 2026. Tell us, what leadership qualities should SMEs prioritize today?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about adaptability and ambiguity. And so adaptability is probably the first thing that I would say in terms of one's character disposition qualities that really should be something that they are constantly, constantly improving upon and developing. With respect to the world iteratively changing, technology is going to be something that continues to keep us on our toes. And so that's where much of the adaptability comes from. I would also say that it's important for people to think in a human centered way. Trust is something that has been broken for a lot of people who are employees of organizations, where they are often feeling like they are disposable because as changes come up for companies, some companies are quick to think about their bottom line as opposed to the people in the companies that help to drive success. And so I
Mhm.
would say human centered leadership is definitely something that anyone who is running a small to medium enterprise really needs to be thinking about as well. And I would say if those two things are centered, the adaptability piece and the ability to really, really think in a human centered way, You're really going to be able to stay on top of what needs to be stayed on top of with respect to business, and then also really connect in well with the employees that are a part of driving success forward.
Now, prioritizing emotional intelligence and adaptability in your leadership hires ensures that your culture can really withstand any external economic shift. So, thank you so much for highlighting some of these leadership trends for 2026, Jason. Finally, let's look at scaling an award winning diverse team. Tell us what challenges come with scaling a values driven search firm.
Oh, there are many, but maybe I'll just highlight maybe some that are top of mind. One of the challenges for scaling a values driven firm is that you are constantly being challenged externally to not have integrity, to being values driven. So even if we think about what has been going on south of the border with 47 being in office, there are a number of companies that had very, very specific mandates in terms of wanting to increase representation or wanting to really prioritize EDIA. But as soon as there was administration that challenged them on some of their choices, they were quick to make changes into the other direction. And so, as a values driven firm, it's really being able to have the courage to continue to have integrity to your values as opposed to making any shifts. And it's finding new and creative ways to grow and to problem solve and to find allegiance and alliances that really do share your commitment to your values. And so the biggest challenge is how do you scale and how do you grow in spite of the fact that there are things that want to work against everything that you stand for? You're trying to push the boulder up the hill, but there are all these headwinds and all of these forces trying to apply more weight and try to actually make it even harder for you to continue to push in to that direction. So I'd say the biggest thing is really trying to make sure that as a values driven firm, you don't actually make changes to be doing things that seem to be in vogue or seem to be what people want to hear. It's having that integrity and that encourage to stay committed to what your values are.
hmm Now, proving that a values driven business can be both award winning and highly profitable, it provides a powerful blueprint for all the Canadian entrepreneurs that are listening, Jason. And this was a great conversation. Thank you so much for everything that you do and for inspiring and motivating our listeners on how to really scale such an award winning firm. As you wrap up now, what advice would you give to businesses that are looking to diversify leadership?
Yeah, stay committed to the fact that diversity is and should be a cornerstone of what you are thinking so that you can continue to scale and continue to reap success. And to also think about the fact that we are going to continue to see the importance of this more and more as we go into the future. I really think that if people aren't thinking about this now, they're going to be thrust into thinking about it a lot more over the years to come. So start if you haven't started and continue if you're already on that path.
That is a great reminder. And the talent is out there. It's the search and the culture that need to be ready to receive them. Thank you so much, Jason, for your time and for sharing such great expertise and your vision with us.
Thank you as well for having me.
And listeners, that was Jason Murray from BES Executive Search, a masterclass in executive recruitment, workplace culture transformation, and the power of inclusive leadership. You can also learn more about BES at bessearch.com or follow Jason on LinkedIn. Thank you for being part of the Black Business Podcast powered by Canadian SME. Your support really helps advance visibility, equity, and opportunity for Black entrepreneurs across Canada. Please stay connected, stay inspired, and continue building legacy in motion.